Welcome to this class of history. In this video, we are going to talk about what's changing the political landscape of Nigeria, the one they call the giant of Africa. Let us go memory lane to the history when Nigeria got independent from the British from 1960. What causes the Nigerian Civil War and what led to the Nigerian Civil War and what placed Nigeria where they are at this moment as we face political instability and political uncertainty as the country is rooming into yet another serious crisis. But let us begin with what causes the Nigerian Biafran War and the January 15, 1966 military coup that changed the landscape or political landscape of Nigeria. Nigerian history changed forever in 1966 when a military coup took over, the first in the country's history, overthrowing the government and set in motion event that will later lead to one of the African bloodiest war in the history, the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War. But what really caused the 1966 coup and how did it lead to the brutal conflict that divide the nation, which they are still struggling to come out of it. But let us go back in time and uncover the truth behind the chaos that shaped Nigerian destiny. Nigeria gained independence, as we all know, from Britain in 1960 with high hope for unity and prosperity. However, beneath the surface, ethnic tension and the political rivalry and political instabilities were growing faster in the country after gaining independence from Nigeria. The country was made up of three major regions. The north dominated by the Hausa Fulanis, the west controlled by the Yorubas, and the east mainly inhabited by the Igbo people. Each region had its own political party and the interest, making national unity very, very difficult. The first democratically government led by Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa struggled with corruption, election rigging, and the regional division. By 1966, Nigerian politics have turned violent and chaotic, and trust in the government was collapsing from the masses. Then in January 15, 1966, there was a coup that took place. The night Nigeria changed forever, the history of Nigerian politics changed forever when a group of young army officers, mostly from the Igbo ethnic group, launched a military coup. They said their mission was to end corruption, tribalism, and the bad leadership. The coup was led by Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzogu and the other officers, including Emmanuel Ifajuna and the Chris Anoforo. Their target was key political and the military leaders. By dawn, Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, Ahmad Bello, and the Sultan of Sokoto, and the Samuel Akintola, the premier of the Western region, were all dead. However, the coup failed to capture Lagos completely. Major General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi, the highest ranked Igbo officer, took control of the situation and declared himself head of state. But what is the aftermath and the tension of that January 15, 1966 coup that changed the political landscape of Nigeria? Although Ironsi was not part of the coup, many Northerners believe it was an Igbo plot or Igbo coup to dominate Nigeria. Why? Because most of the leaders who died in the coup were from the north and the west, while top Igbo politicians all survived the assassination and the coup plot. This perception created massive anger in the north. Then in July 1966, a group of northern officers carried out a revenge coup. General Ironsi was killed and Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, a northern officer, became the new head of state. Ethnic violence broke out across the country. Thousands of Igbos living in the north were massacred and they forced to flee to the eastern region. Then what the road to Biafra? War with Nigeria. As tension grew, effort to reconcile fell. The eastern region, led by Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu, demanded greater autonomy for the east and the protection for the Igbo people across the whole nation. But when negotiation with the federal government collapsed, Ojukwu took a bold step. On precisely 30th of May, 1967, he declared the eastern region of Nigeria as an independent state called the Republic of Biafra, as it's known. The Nigerian government, led by Major General Yakubu Gowon, saw this as rebellion. On July 6, 1967, the Nigerian military launched an attack on Biafra, making the state of the Nigerian Civil War as known or as Biafran War, as he launched the attack against the Igbos or the eastern part of Nigeria, eastern region. The war lasted until January 1970 and they claimed over 1 million lives, many of them civilians who died from starvation or what they call kwashiorkor in those days. Though the war ended more than 5 decades ago, its scars remain deep in Nigerian history. It remains the world or remind the world how ethnic can divide a nation, bad governance and mistrust can destroy a nation or nation unity. Now that you know the real story behind the 1966 coup and the Biafran War, what lesson does you think Nigeria can learn from it today? As we are going into another part of political instabilities in the countries, since that January 15, 1966 coup, Nigeria have not known peace. The issue of bringing the three regions together, the amalgamation of Nigeria from 1914 up to this moment, that marriage which the British bring the whole country together to form a nation is collapsing. But the fact is, when the East wanted to secede from Nigeria and be on their own, why is it that the Gowon-led Nigerian government could not be able to allow them to go? And I also believe and have it in mind that if Gowon will tell himself the truth or come out and tell the public, he will be regretting why he did not allow the Igbos or the Easterners to separate that time instead of going into the war to fight the Biafran, who have already begun their own nation. And as I also know that the Western region are also preparing to do their own. Instead of all these problems, since we finished that war that claimed over 1 million lives, Nigeria have not been the same. And the people that is still suffering it are still the Eastern region because they begin to regard them as traitors. A lot of people have rise up to agitate, state that name Biafra, that they want their own region, they want their Biafra to come. Why is it that the government does not want it to at least organize a referendum to know if these people really wanted to be on their own? Give them a chance to decide and take their destiny by their hand to know if they really wanted to divide and separate from that union called Nigeria. They want to be on their own. Instead of all these insecurities, all this political tension that is going on here and there, now the kind of detention in prison and other people who have all rise before to agitate for that Biafra of 18, since it is their wish, why can't the Nigerian government allow these people to be on their own than all this killing and all this thing that is going on? So I want you to drop your thought on this issue. Since Nigeria fought war, that is Nigerian Civil War, things have not been the same. But they are taking it that since the Igbos organized coup, the first military coup in Nigeria in 1966, they have used it as a weapon against Igbos to marginalize them. But they also organized coup 1966, July 1966. Why they did not stand on that one? And the other subsequent coups that have been happening in the country were being organized by either the Hausa Northern, the Hausa Fulanis or other region, not Igbos again. Why are they still punishing the Igbos for that coup? Which you know that the beginning of that 1966 leading to that coup, Nigeria was peaceful. They have never been such that Nigeria have not experienced coup before. They don't know what is coup. The young leaders that organize the coup, the majors, they are planning it for the best interest of the country. They are not planning it that they just wanted to succeed for Nigeria or divide Nigeria, but they are doing it so that Nigeria will be in unity as they used to be before. So what is your thought on this issue? Please, I would like you to drop on the comment section. Let us know what your thought is on this, and how do you think we can resolve this issue that is bothering Nigeria. As I have had, even this current administration, there's an attempted coup, whether rumor or not rumor. What do you think we can do? Because if Nigeria fail, other African countries will fail. If Nigeria organize themselves and be better, African countries will be better. Just what is happening in Burkina Faso and the other places, we can unite together to build our continent and build our nations in Africa so that we will have peace among ourselves. Let me hear what you said at the comment section.